Slides are clear? Slides are visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
okay. So what we are going to deal today is antihypertensive agents, right? From we can say from past 20 or 25 days, what we are dealing the agents that actually lowers the hypertension, right? So now there are some drugs that are directly used to treat the hypertension, right? The second, the drug, the category of the drug, like the vasodilator, we were dealing with the diuretics. They were indirectly reducing the hypertension, right? So basically what the vasodilator were doing, they were dilating the arteries, right? Importantly the arteries, then the veins. The second thing were the calcium channel blocker, right? So calcium channel blocker were doing what? They were blocking the L type of calcium channels and affecting what? And affecting the contraction. So the contraction was delayed and they were provoking more relaxation, right? So when they were provoking more relaxation, the blood pressure or the hypertension was reduced. Then what we have dealt with, we have dealt with the diuretics, and we have also dealt ki how the excess water in our body and the concentration of electrolytes, particularly the sodium and the chloride, actually influences the rise in blood pressure, right? We have talked about the aldosterone, we have talked about the renin, we have talked about the ACE, right? So angiotensinogen, right? So today what we are going to discuss, we are going to discuss about the directly acting antihypertensive agents, right? So yesterday I was discussing something. Yesterday I was discussing about the blood pressure, right? So I have also discussed one physics equation where the pressure is equals to force by upon area, right? So we were discussing how that area is reduced of the arteries or the veins, right? And when the arteries area is reduced, either they can be due to the contraction, the physiological factor, or by the deposition of the cholesterol or the high density lipoproteins due to the obesity. So what they were contributing? They were contributing to the increase in pressure, increase in what? Increase in blood pressure basically, right? So we have dealt with that, right? So today we are going to discuss about the antihypertensive agents, right? So basically antihypertensive agents are used to relieve the hypertension, right? Which is also called as high blood pressure. But before going to the hypertension or the antihypertensive agents, we should remember ki what is basic difference between a blood pressure and at what condition it is called as hypertension, right? So that is one of the important thing. So what is hypertension now according to you? Yesterday we have discussed something. Basically it's a type of blood pressure only, but it is there is a limit of blood pressure also. Basically we measure the blood pressure, right? Blood pressure is a measurable quantity, right? So basically there are two scenarios, right? When our heart is pumping normally and when our heart is pumping abnormally, right? So basically when our heart is pumping normally and we are feeling healthy, so basically the blood pressure is in the normal limits. So what are those normal limits? We'll be discussing that also, right? But there may be some conditions in which, for example, there may be some momentarily changes which actually increases the blood pressure, or it can be persistent for a long time, right? For example, क्या होता है जब हम sports खेलते हैं? For example, suppose if I'm saying I play football, right? So, or if I do some running or if I do some exercises, so there will be a momentarily change in the blood pressure, right? The heart will start pumping faster, right? But there are some conditions in which this blood pressure is a persistent problem, right? क्यों होती है? We have already discussed because of the various our lifestyle, the high deposition of the cholesterol, obesity, stress, right? All these factors contribute to what? They contribute to the blood pressure, right? So this is the thing. And now what we have, let me open the pointer, right? So now blood pressure is the force, right? Pressure. Yesterday we have discussed about the pressure. Pressure is equal to force by area, right? So the blood pressure is the force. कहाँ पे लगेगी ये force? It is exerted on the circulating blood against the wall of the body arteries, right? basically the arteries are carrying the blood, right? So now if there is some area constriction, अगर हमारी area contract होती है arteries की by the physiological mean, by the normal contraction or by the deposition of the cholesterol or the high density lipoproteins, what will happen? The arteries, right? The arteries will be in pressure. They will be exerting pressure because of what? Because of the blood, right? So this is the thing. So the hypertension is when blood pressure is too high, right? So what is this too high, right? We have to give it some unit, right? So basically this is the normal and this is some high, this is very high, right? So we will be discussing about that thing, right? So now अगर किसी ने तुम लोगों में से कभी ब्लड प्रेशर चेक करवाया है, if they have someone has measured their blood pressure, what is the thing? You actually get two numbers, right? There are basically it is represented by two number, this by this, right? So that number actually has some meaning, right? So basically what we have, blood pressure is written as the two numbers, right? The first is called the systolic number, right? So the systolic number represent what? It represents the pressure in the blood vessels when the heart contracts or beats, right? So basically the pressure in blood vessels, the first thing. The second is the diastolic number. It represents the pressure in the vessels when the heart rests between the beats. So many of you have learned the human anatomy and the physiology, the lup and the dup, right, of the heart. So basically what heart do, heart contracts and relaxes between the two beats, right? So basically when the heart is contracting, it is called the systolic number, and when the heart is resting, right, it is called the diastolic number, right? So now this is the second number. The diastolic number is the second number, the systolic number is the first number. So according to the WHO, right? So hypertension is diagnosed if it is measured on 2 different days. See, this is very important. For example, if there is a, suppose you are playing some sports and you are measuring your blood pressure immediately, right? There will be a high blood pressure, right? So basically what we have to do to remove the error, we have to take the reading on 2 consecutive days. And if on the 2 consecutive days we are getting the same reading or more reading, right, in the same vicinity, then we can say we have the conditions of the prevailing hypertension or a prolonged history of the blood pressure. So this is important when measured on the 2 days. For example, if I am coming and I am measuring my blood pressure and if it is high, I cannot say that I am suffering from some hypertension, right? It should be on 2 consecutive days and the readings should be almost or close to each day, right? Then we can say we have a problem of the hypertension, right? So basically now there is a number. The systolic blood pressure reading on the both days should be more than 140, equal to or more than 140 mmHg. Basically it uses the mercury, right? And the diastolic blood pressure reading on the both days should be more than or equal to 90. So basically if the condition is like the diastolic is more than 90 or equal to 90 and the systolic is more than 140 or equal to 140, right? Then we say our blood pressure is 140 by 90, right? And that is the pressure normally, right? So when the reading is exceeding between beyond this limit, beyond 140 the systolic one and 90 the diastolic one, we say that we have the high blood pressure, and the high blood pressure is termed as hypertension, right? So you may get some questions in the GPAT from the number, which is the first number. What do you mean by the systolic number? What do you mean by the diastolic number, right? So you should remember this thing. So this is the chart. This is the chart by again by the WHO. So normally now it's 140. Now some people say it's 140 in the urban areas because of the lifestyle changes. So basically the normal blood pressure is 120 and 80. So 120 by 80. Elevated, it is if it is between 120 and 130, right? And see the hypertension. When we say the hypertension, there are the 3 stages of the hypertension, right? Low, high, highest, right? Or the hypertensive crisis, right? So this is the low. It is approximately around 140, right? And 90, right? So the high blood pressure or the hypertension stage 2 is 140 or higher, right? Or 90 or higher, right? And the third, which is very, very fatal, it is more than 180 of the systolic, and the diastolic is more than 120 mmHg, right? So this is very important. This is very important. The definition have now slightly changed for the people residing in the urban areas, right? It is 140 by 90, right? If it is 140 by 90, then it is considered as normal, right? For example, in the populated countries like India, right? This is normal, 140 by 90, right? So you have to remember these things, right? So now when we have these type of condition where our blood pressure is rising beyond 140, the systolic, and beyond 90 in the diastolic condition, then what we have to do, we have to go for some medication, and those medication are called the antihypertensive agents, right? So now we'll be discussing about the antihypertensive agents. So there are many risk factors. There are many risk factors. So for example, the diet and the sleep issues can be one, right? For example, if you are having poor sleep, right? Or if you have a very longer sleep, these are also issue. If you are taking high salt, if you are taking obesity, street food more, right? So that is also the reason. For example, the metabolic influences, for example, if you are having some diabetic conditions, right, you are more prone to hypertension, right? Then there are some physiological social parameters. For example, what is your race, what is your socio-economic level, right? These also contribute to some of the stress, and that stress is again correlated with the hypertension. See, stress is again what? Stress is again what? Stress is again the pressure, right? It's a synonym. It's a synonym actually, right? So this is also one of the things, that there could be some genetic influences also, right? Family history also could one of the major contributor, right? And there could be some medical factors as well, right? So basically, in your age these days also, the hypertension cases are seen very much, right? Because of the stress level, right? So this is also one of the reasons. So when your stress level is reaching far beyond, so it is actually leading to the hypertension. And hypertension, mind you, it is very fatal, right? It could lead to the cardiac arrest, and it could lead to the strokes, right? So basically, you should avoid the stress in such situations, right? So this is important, right? So see, as the name say, it's a silent killer. You will never know when your blood pressure is rising, or are you prone to the hypertension or not, right? So this is the important thing. So most people with hypertension are unaware of the problem because it may have no warning signs or symptoms, right? So this is again very important. It has rarely very less signs or symptoms. For example, high sweat, high stress level, mood swings, right? So these are all of the common symptoms that you can experience with the hypertensive persons, right? So never just underestimate these symptoms, right? So this is important thing. And one of the important thing is, always check your blood pressure. Means you should always check your blood pressure after 15 days or after 30 days, right? That is important, right? To check whether you are hypertensive and what is your blood pressure level. So this is very important, right? So now, treatment of hypertension. So in our previous classes we have discussed about this figure, right? Where what we have discussed, when we were dealing with the diuretics, we have talked that the kidney are actually releasing the renin when there is a drop in the blood pressure, and that is converting this angiotensinogen to the angiotensin 1. And from the lungs we have the ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme, which is converting the angiotensin 1 to the angiotensin 2, right? And then this angiotensin was responsible for the vasoconstriction, it was responsible for the thirst and the release of antidiuretic hormone, and it was affecting the adrenal cortex to release the aldosterone, so it could retain the salt and the water, so that the conditions, so that this drop in BP could be elevated, right? So we have discussed this. Now what we have also discussed is, we have discussed some treatment strategies if our blood pressure has been increasing or has been increased, right? So we have discussed the diuretics, we have discussed the calcium channel blocker, endothelium receptor blocker, ENaC, what we call the ENaC, aldosterone receptor antagonist, right? We have discussed this spironolactone, and also we have discussed the vasodilators, right? This we have discussed. Now, there are other methods also by which we can decrease the blood pressure or we can relieve from the symptoms of the hypertension. Now, this can be what we can do. We can block the conversion of angiotensin 1 to the angiotensin 2. How? Basically by using the ACE inhibitor, angiotensin converting enzymes inhibitor. Second, what we can do, see this angiotensin 1 and angiotensin 2 will be also interacting with some of the receptor. For example, this receptor is called angiotensin receptor 1, 81, and this receptor is called the angiotensin receptor 2, 82, right? So we can block the angiotensin 1 and the 2 receptors, right? So we have the angiotensin 2 receptor antagonist, right? Then what we have, our blood pressure is also regulated by the non-adrenaline, right? We also call it the norepinephrine, right? So what we have for that, we have some adrenergic antagonist. Then we have some renin inhibitors. This one, renin inhibitor, right? What it will do, it will prevent the conversion of this angiotensinogen to the angiotensin 1, right? So the condition of the vasoconstriction, release of the aldosterone, thirst, and the release of antidiuretic hormone will not happen, right? So this is one of the method, right? So I'll be discussing. So for example, this is your syllabus, right? So what I have done, all the drugs which were available in your syllabus in the unit 2 part C, I have classified them, right? I have classified based upon their mechanism, right? So what we have the ACE inhibitors, right? So in your syllabus, we do not have this thing, angiotensin 2 receptor antagonist, also called as sartans, right? This is not in your syllabus. And the second thing, the renin inhibitor is not in your syllabus, right? So these candy sartan and other drug. So basically these two things are not in your syllabus. So what we have in your syllabus is the ACE inhibitor, which will inhibit the angiotensin converting enzyme from binding to the receptor or from interacting, right? So what the ACE inhibitor will do, see this thing. ACE inhibitor will do what? ACE inhibitor will help in converting the angiotensin 1 to the angiotensin 2, right? So if ACE will be inhibited, if this ACE will be inhibited, what will happen? This one will not be converted to this 2. Angiotensin 1 will not be converted to the angiotensin 2. And what will happen? The issues like the vasoconstriction, release of aldosterone, and the thirst and the release of ADH will not happen, right? That means your blood pressure will remain normal, right? So this is the thing. Then what we have the adrenergic receptor antagonist, where we'll be dealing with the catecholamines, right? So you have in your syllabus alpha 2 adrenergic receptor agonist, right? I'll be telling you why these are the agonists, right? Then we have the beta adrenergic blockers, one drug only, right? And then we have some mixed type, or we say the drugs that act at the NMJ, neuromuscular junction. So basically these drugs act at the neuromuscular junction. For example, guanethidine and the reserpine, right? So reserpine is basically an alkaloid. So we'll be discussing about this thing. So renin inhibitor are not in your syllabus, although they are used for the treatment of hypertension. And then we have some vasodilator that primarily act on the veins, right? The vasodilator which we have dealt earlier were acting more toward the arteries, right? And these vasodilator act directly on the veins, right? So this is just a difference between the two categories of the vasodilator, right? Although they are non-selective, but they are more selective toward the veins, and the earlier vasodilator were more selective toward the arteries, right? So this is the thing, right? So we move to the first category of the drug, that is the ACE inhibitor, right? So in the ACE inhibitor category, what we have these drugs. And easy way to remember. For example, if in the GPAT, if you sometime get a question, he identify which of this is the ACE inhibitor, right? So this is very easy to do. All the drugs will have the name pril at the last, right? So if there is a word written pril, see captopril, lisinopril, right? Enalapril, benazepril, right? Quinapril. So all these have word pril at the end, right? These all have drug pril. So all the prils type of drug actually belong to the ACE inhibitor category, right? So what we have, we already know. what the ACE is doing, ACE is releasing from where? ACE is releasing from the lungs, right? So basically this ACE is doing converting this angiotensin 1 to the angiotensin 2, and this angiotensin 2 is then acting on the receptor, the angiotensin 1 receptor or the angiotensin 2 receptor. So by blocking this thing, by blocking this, what we are going to do, we are going to block the effect of this ACE on the conversion of this angiotensin 1 to the angiotensin 2, right? This is very easy mechanism, right? If the angiotensin 2 will not be formed, what will happen? The problems of vasoconstriction, release of aldosterone, and the thirst and the ADH will not happen, right? And this is just for your knowledge. This is just for your knowledge. So basically, ACE is also involved in the this thing. Basically, it metabolizes this bradykinin also. So basically, the bradykinin acts in the lungs, and it actually causes some cough, natriuresis, angioedema, right? So basically, these ACE inhibitor also prevent their metabolism, right? Bradykinin metabolism, right? So this is separate from the hypertension, right? And we have to focus on more on this thing, right? More on this thing, right? So what we have few drugs, right? So the maximum of the drugs that are used as an ACE inhibitor. Am I audible? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the maximum of the ACE inhibitors, right, are derived from the amino acids, right? They could be the amino acid or they could be dipeptides, right? So basically all the drugs are derived from the amino acids. So this is also one thing to remember, right? These are the amino acid derived drug. So for example, we have the captopril, right? The captopril, this is the proline. So basically it is derived from the proline amino acid, right? When what we have lisinopril. Lisinopril actually have the two amino acids, so it's a dipeptide basically, right? Linked with the alpha amino side chains, right? Right. So it is basically linked with the alpha amino acid, right? So again, what we have the enalapril. Now again, the enalapril is a dipeptide, right? So now the benzapril is also dipeptide. But what is important here in the case of enalapril and the benzapril, these two molecules are inactive, right? These two molecules are inactive. And what these do, they act as a prodrug. They undergo the metabolism in the liver. And the active form is the enalaprilat. The active form is the enalaprilat, and enalaprilat is formed by the removal of this ester group, right? So can anybody tell what is the importance of ester in the prodrugs? What the ester do? For example, if I'm saying this is again an ester, C is the ester prodrug, it's the ester containing prodrug. So what is the utility of the ester in the drug? Anyone? प्रोड्रग सुना है कभी? प्रोड्रग क्या होते हैं? एनीवन? प्रोड्रग पता है किसी को क्या होते हैं? Guys, anyone who knows what are the prodrugs? अरे इंटरेक्ट किया करो थोड़ा. प्रोड्रग्स क्या होते हैं? अरे यू कैन जस्ट गिव अ ब्लफ आंसर. नहीं आता तो क्या हुआ? तुम्हारे हिसाब से क्या होने चाहिए प्रोड्रग्स?
जो आफ्टर एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एक्टिव हो जाते हैं.
Exactly. Basically prodrug, right? They are not active as such. For example, the aspirin, right? Many of you take the aspirin, but aspirin as such is not active, right? But when it undergoes the metabolism, it gets converted to the salicylic acid, and the salicylic acid is the active form of the drug, right? So now the prodrugs are the drugs that can be metabolized right, that can be metabolized to get converted into the more active form of drug, or even they can be converted into some inactive components, or they also undergo the metabolism to release some toxic metabolites, right? So this is the general definition, but we generally consider the prodrug as the drug which after the metabolism releases the active form of the drug. And when we, why we are using this ester in the prodrug, ester as the prodrugs, anyone? हम एस्टर का यूज क्यों करते हैं ड्रग्स में? Why I am saying that I'll be using the ester? Anyone? Anyone? थोड़ी सी केमिस्ट्री है इसमें, an important chemistry है इसमें when I am saying ester prodrugs. ड्रग को मेम्ब्रेन क्रॉस करने के लिए क्या चाहिए होती है? एनीवन? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ आई हैव अ ड्रग, व्हाट शुड बी द आइडियल ड्रग लुक लाइक? क्या होना चाहिए एक आइडियल ड्रग में? यू आर गेटिंग माई क्वेश्चन? समझ में आया या मैं अच्छे से बताऊं इसको क्या होता है? अगर मैं कहूँ ना कोई एक आइडियल ड्रग है मेरे पास, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट एन आइडियल ड्रग, आइडियल ड्रग शुड लुक लाइक दिस, इट शुड हैव द फीचर्स लाइक दिस, right? For example, if you buy a cell phone, right? So first thing you look for the features, right? My cell phone should have the primary this and this thing, right? We all look for that thing, right? If you are buying some appliance, you are looking for that thing. So for example, when we are talking about the drug, our drug should also have some characteristics, right? क्या characteristics होनी चाहिए important? If I do not talk about the medicinal chemistry, what should be the pharmacokinetic characteristics of a drug? Anyone? ड्रग में क्या होना चाहिए इंपॉर्टेंट?
Sir, it should bind to the receptor, targeted receptor.
फार्माकोकाइनेटिक्स एक्सपेक्ट पूछ रहा हूँ. फार्माकोकाइनेटिक्स में क्या आएगा? एडीएम ही आएगा?
Yes, sir.
आएगा ना? अब फार्माकोकाइनेटिक्स में सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट क्या है? अगर मैं कोई ड्रग ओरल रूट से ले रहा हूँ तो क्या होना चाहिए ड्रग को? क्या होगा ड्रग में, बताओ पहले ये बताओ. तुम्हें आज तक ये लास्ट 4th सेमेस्टर में प्रोड्रग के बारे में कभी पढ़ा है किसी ने? और यू लर्न अबाउट द प्रोड्रग, कुछ पता है प्रोड्रग का आइडिया है? आई गेस नहीं है, चलो कोई बात नहीं. सो नाउ अब हम बात कर रहे थे फार्माकोकाइनेटिक्स की, राइट? सो फार्माकोकाइनेटिक्स में क्या होगा? सबसे पहले ड्रग एब्जॉर्प्शन. ड्रग एब्जॉर्ब कैसे होगी? ड्रग को एब्जॉर्ब होने के लिए क्या चाहिए? Suppose if I say that my drug is poorly water soluble drug, will it get absorbed? Will it cross the membrane? Or if I say my drug is highly lipophilic, will that drug go into the blood? Will it get solubilized in the blood? होगा नहीं होगा बताओ?
No, sir.
Yeah, there was some network disturbance, right? So क्या होगा अगर ड्रग मेरी ज़्यादा वाटर सॉल्युबल ज़्यादा है तो क्या वो मेम्ब्रेन क्रॉस कर पाएगी? जस्ट तुम क्या सोचते हो ड्रग के बारे में, ये बताओ मुझे, ओपिनियन दो अपने. तुम्हारे हिसाब से क्या होगा? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ यू आर वर्किंग इन द फील्ड ऑफ फार्मेसी एंड समटाइम you move into the research and development and you try some drug development projects, right? So तुम्हारे हिसाब से क्या होना चाहिए? ड्रग कैसे क्रॉस करेगी मेम्ब्रेन को? आइडियल कंडीशंस क्या होनी चाहिए? सेल है, सपोज मेरे पास सेल है, राइट? हम एक माइक्रो लेवल पे बात करते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई हैव अ सेल, राइट? सेल में क्या होता है? सेल की मेम्ब्रेन किससे बनी होती है?
Phospholipid.
Phospholipid bilayer, right? It has a phospholipid bilayer. Now, if you say phospholipid, lipid is what? Lipid is fatty acid, right? They are the carboxylic acid derivatives again. अब लिपिड तुम्हारे क्या होंगे? They will be water soluble or the non water soluble? क्या होगा basically? They will be lipophilic or the hydrophilic?
लिपोफिलिक।
वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड। सो अगर अब हमारी सेल की मेम्ब्रेन लिपोफिलिक है, राइट, बट सेल के अंदर तो साइटोप्लाज्म है, एंड साइटोप्लाज्म इज व्हाट? इट्स लिक्विड, इट्स वाटर, राइट। सो पहली चीज हमारी ड्रग को क्या चाहिए? अवर ड्रग रिक्वायर सम लिपोफिलिसिटी, राइट, टू क्रॉस द मेम्ब्रेन। अगर हमारे मॉलिक्यूल सी लाइक डिसॉल्व लाइक, अगर हमारी ड्रग की लिपोफिलिसिटी जीरो है या बहुत कम है, हमारी ड्रग मेम्ब्रेन क्रॉस नहीं कर पाएगी। देयर विल बी नो परमिएशन ऑफ द ड्रग। होगा ना, ये प्रॉब्लम होगा। यू आर गेटिंग माई पॉइंट ना?
Yes.
सो
Yes,
अब क्या
sir.
है, अब क्या होगा? फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ वी आर यूजिंग द एस्टर्स, एस्टर्स आर व्हाट? एस्टर्स आर द कार्बोक्सिलिक एसिड डेरिवेटिव। सो व्हाट दे विल डू टू द ड्रग? Basically they will increase the drug lipophilicity, right? So basically when the drug lipophilicity will increase, what will happen? That molecule will penetrate inside the cell. So the same thing is with the drug like the enalapril and the benazepril, right? Basically we are using the aster to increase their lipophilicity, and once they are crossing the membrane, this aster group will be cleaved, right, to release the active drug, which is the enalaprilat and the benazeprilat, right? So basically the aster group will be adding what? It will be imparting the lipophilicity to the drug to so that the drug could easily classify, sorry, easily cross the membrane, right? तुम लोगों ने वो पढ़ा होगा बीसीएस क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ ड्रग बायोफार्मास्यूटिक्स में। हम लोग कहते हैं ना ड्रग्स 4 कैटेगरीज की होती है, बीसीएस क्लास 1, बीसीएस क्लास 2, बीसीएस 3, बीसीएस 4 ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द परमेबिलिटी एंड द सॉल्युबिलिटी। पढ़ा है कभी ये बायोफार्मास्यूटिक्स में? थोड़ा सा आइडिया है इसके बारे में? चलो कोई बात नहीं, विल बी डिस्कसिंग इट सम टाइम, right? Sometime in the offline class we'll be discussing about these things, ki what should an ideal drug should look like, right? Because this is important topics when you are dealing with the pharmacy or dealing with the drug development, right? So this is important topic, right? So अब clear है क्या होगा एस्टर का? एस्टर बेसिकली प्रोड्रग में इसलिए कोई भी ड्रग में इसलिए यूज होगा टू इंक्रीज इट permeability, basically to increase it lipophilicity, right? So this is the thing, right? Now this is the fifth drug, quinapril. Again the name pril, right? So basically it's the organic compound again having the dipeptide, 2 peptides linked with the alpha amino acids, right? So basically this is also deesterified, again it's an ester prodrug, right, which give the quinaprilat, right? The quinaprilat is the active form, right? So this is all about the ACE inhibitor, and what they will be doing, they will be inhibiting the ACE enzyme, right? And when they will be inhibiting the ACE enzyme, what will happen? They will be inhibiting the conversion of the angiotensin 1 to the angiotensin 2, right? So this is the thing, this is the general mechanism, right? So now what we have other category. We have the adrenergic receptor antagonist, right? ये तो नाम सुना होगा, एड्रेनर्जिक तो पढ़ा होगा तुम लोगों ने आई गेस। अल्फा ब्लॉकर, अल्फा एगोनिस्ट, बीटा ब्लॉकर, बीटा एगोनिस्ट, ये तो पढ़ा होगा। एनीवन आइडिया है? कैथिकोलामाइंस क्या होते हैं, एपिनेफ्रिन क्या होता है, नॉर एपिनेफ्रिन क्या होता है? बोलो बोलो, एनीवन?
Yes.
ओके ओके ओके, वेरी गुड, चलो पढ़ा है। सो बेसिकली अब एड्रेनर्जिक रिसेप्टर का रोल क्या आएगा हाइपरटेंशन में? सबसे पहले होते क्या हैं? द एड्रेनर्जिक रिसेप्टर्स, or we call them adrenoreceptors, are the class of GPCR coupled basically receptor. They are linked with the GPCR receptors that that are the targets of many catecholamines. So see the name, catecholamines. अब catecholamines क्या है? Catechol is what? It's a benzene with 2 OH at the alternate position, 2 alternate adjacent positions, right? So then we have a amine, right? So it's again a simple molecule. I'll be showing you the structure. Like the norepinephrine, we also called it noradrenaline, right? And the epinephrine, and we also call it the adrenaline, right? So it's a simple, right, produced by the body. So basically, we know that the adrenergic receptors are of two types. पता है हमें, right? So basically जो हमारे hypertension में role important role play करते हैं और they play role in the increasing the blood pressure. So basically these are the two receptors. One are the alpha 2 receptors and one is the beta 1 receptor, right? So what the thing is, basically there are the two types of alpha receptor and three types of beta receptor. Now the beta 3 receptors are also known, but keeping context to the pharmacy B pharma level. So we have two beta receptor, beta 1 and the beta 2, right? So now this alpha 1 receptor are involved in the vasoconstriction, but they are actually affecting the CNS mainly, right? Now this thing in alpha catecholamines, right? So catecholamines will be acting on the adrenergic receptor, and basically we have two important catecholamines, adrenaline and non-adrenaline. We call them epinephrine or the norepinephrine, right? So basically in the alpha 1 receptor, the non-epinephrine will be more active than the epinephrine. So basically it will be a more selected substrate in the alpha 1. So in the alpha 2, what we have the epinephrine and the norepinephrine. So basically the epinephrine is increasing the heartbeat or the blood pressure, right? So basically what we can do, sorry, I just gone with the wrong, 1 second. So basically this epinephrine is doing what? This epinephrine is maintaining our blood flow, but this now norepinephrine is actually rising the blood pressure. So what is happening in the alpha 2? What is binding more? We have the affinity of epinephrine more at the alpha 2 receptor, right? So what we can do? See, epinephrine will be normalizing your heartbeat, right? So what we need here? We need to block this norepinephrine from binding to the alpha 2 receptor. और हम उसको कैसे कर सकते हैं? How we can do it? How we can activate this alpha 2 receptors now? We can activate the alpha 2 receptor by using the agonist. So what the agonist will do? Agonist will inhibit the norepinephrine release, right? Importantly, this is only required in the hypertension, right? So it will be inhibiting the non-epinephrine release, right? Now the beta 1 receptor which are present in the heart, right? We all know this thing. So basically what is their role? They are increasing the heart rate, and when the heart rate is increasing, the blood pressure is increasing, and that is directly contributing to the hypertension. So what we can do? We can use the beta blockers, right? We can use the beta blocker, right? So now these beta blocker will have an equal opportunity. There are the mixed type of beta inhibitors. So basically they are not that selective. They show their activity on the both the things. For example, they will be more selective towards this beta 1 and they will be less selective toward the beta 2, right? So this is the general thing, and we'll be discussing about these tomorrow, right? So I'll be just summarizing what we have done today, right? So what we have done, we have started with the antihypertensive agents, right, which directly are used to relieve the conditions of the hypertension. So we have discussed what is that hypertension is, right? So basically hypertension kya hai? Hypertension is the elevated form of the blood pressure. When it elevates beyond the systolic kitna hoga? 140, and the diastolic will be the 90, right? So when it is more than 140 or the 90, we say that we have the hypertension. So basically hypertension is graded into three types: grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, right? So in the grade 3, which is very high, above 180 systolic, right? So this is the thing, right? So now then what we have discussed about, क्या डिस्कस किया था हमने उसके बाद? We have discussed about the ACE inhibitors, right? We have discussed that ACE inhibitor, how the ACE inhibitor actually relieve in the hypertension. So how what they are doing? They are actually inhibiting the conversion of the angiotensin 1 to the angiotensin 2, right? And the drug, the suffix were the pril, right? Then we have discussed about some prodrug which are ester containing, right? And then we are into the adrenergic antagonist, right? sorry, the adrenergic receptor adrenergic drug receptor modulator, I should say. I should not use this word antagonist. I'll be correcting this in the slides. These are actually not the antagonists. They can be the modulators, right? For example, in the alpha we require the agonist. For the beta one we require the antagonist. So basically, when we require both the agonist and the antagonist, we call them as modulators, right? So basically, this would be the adrenergic receptor modulators, right? So now, if anyone has any questions or the queries, they may ask. और कुछ समझ में नहीं आया तो भी they can ask. Anyone with any queries or questions, anything? कुछ समझ में आया या नहीं आया? And see, the important thing is the self study, right? Self study तुम लोगों को करनी पड़ेगी. If you are doing the self study, then you will easily grasp the concept. और अगर self study नहीं करोगे, if you are relying just on the classroom teaching or the slides, so it will be tough. Exam pass हो जाएगा. But if you are thinking of a long journey in the pharmacy, for example, if you are thinking of GPAT, if you are thinking of master, if you are thinking of some scientific research, so then it will be really very tough, right? So what I would recommend you, I would recommend that थोड़ी बहुत self study भी किया करो. For example, whatever you are grasping in the class, you should learn this thing with the books. And if you find some trouble, I am always there to help you guys, right? So this is the thing. This is very important, right? When you are dealing with the medicinal chemistry or the chemistry or any subject of the pharmacy, right? This is very important. So कोई doubts, queries, कुछ, anything? I guess there is no doubts, queries, right? So that's it for today then, right? So I'll be commencing this class now, right? So thank you guys for joining and have a great day.
Thank
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.